The following is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised.
Thank you so much for downloading this episode of So What Do You Really Do? The podcast where I, your host, Dennis Mallard, talk to artists and entertainers about their day jobs. And it's getting worse again, my voice. Man, for a guy who lives off his voice, it is getting worse day by day. I should be concerned. I am very concerned. But the Duck Tours things are going well, I guess. I'm working a lot. As you can hear, people aren't complaining about the voice. They're having fun, I guess. I don't know. Here, we'll find out. I guess the worse I sound, I guess the funnier the songs are when I can't sing into you, but that's okay. On this episode of the program, it is a friend of mine from LA, a comedian, Sara Kay Godot. Sarah and I met when I was in LA in February. She is not a pandemic friend. She is a friend I made because of the pandemic by meeting my other pandemic friends in LA. Her and I did a show together. My friend Melissa Garvey, nice enough to give me a spot on her show. Sarah was also on that show. We had a great time. We hit it off. We loved each other's stuff. She goes, "Hey, I run a show on Tuesday nights. Do you want to come perform on it since you're still in town?" I'm like, "I fly out that night. I'll do the show and then I'll drive to the airport." Perfect plan. And it was a perfect plan. Except for the fact that part of the reason why I wanted to do the show is because one of the members of Social Distortion, Chris Reeves, is the owner of this bar, the Pike Bar in Long Beach, California. And I tried to talk to him, try to make friends with him, and he did not care for me one bit. Don't meet your idols, kids. But he's very nice to Sarah. They get along. He allows her to do her show there. That's all that really matters. It is a wonderful bar, the Pike Bar in Long Beach, California. You should go check it out. Jukebox looks amazing with all the music on it, all the good rock and punk rock stuff that is on that jukebox. It's a hand-curated jukebox. It's not one of those digital ones where you can download anything. No, this is straight CDs in there, and it's very specific. Reminds me a lot of the jukebox at my favorite bar in Baltimore, the Blarney Stone Pub, which also for a while had a very curated punk rock handmade jukebox. They went to digital, but you know, the digital, if you look at what the people play, they're playing all the same stuff. So there is no loss there. Sarah is wonderful. She is a comedian and an actor who also helps run a mental health facility with her psychotherapist. I hope that got it right. Psychotherapist, psychiatrist, husband. I don't know the difference between the two of them. It's probably something I should have asked her or asked her to ask him. So I would have gotten an answer. What's between a psychotherapist and a psychiatrist or a psychiatric. He helps people who have mental illness. Apparently I learned nothing from this podcast, but hopefully you're going to learn more from it because it is a fun, interesting conversation on her growing up in the entertainment industry as an actress, becoming a comedian, traveling across the country, and of course, starting her own business with her and her husband. So please enjoy my conversation with comedian, actress, producer, and COO of the Psych Lab, Sara Kay Godot. Now that we're getting started, I just have to make sure I turn off this fan because I want to watch myself slowly melt during the humidity that has been covering the Boston area, the abnormally humid weather that we've had. How is things right now in the Long Beach area of California? How's things in the LBC there, Sarah?
The LBC the last month was more like the Pacific Northwest, and I was really enjoying it. And it just got real hot this weekend, and the AC died in my office, so I won't have air conditioning at work for the next 2 weeks.
Just working from home, you know, we're already familiar with that because of, I don't know, everything that's happened over the past 3-4 years.
Sadly, I don't get a choice after a while. I have to go into the hot box. So.
You just got to go back into the steaming box there.
Yep.
By the way, how's the show Think Tank going? Because I did it myself when I was there in California in February, and I absolutely love everything about that place.
Yeah, no, it's still growing all the time. We're having the 34th show this month, so.
Congrats, that's awesome. And of course, by the way, I have to show you this because as you may already know from social media, I have been since I left California. I left reason I did the trip to California is because I was leaving a job And I sneakily planned by 2 weeks to be on the same time as my vacation because I am a brilliant evil genius. And I was in California and I started a new job at Boston Duck Tours. And my character at Boston Duck Tours, as you may have seen, is a ukulele punk rocker. Because I wanted to pick a fictitious character that was so actually close to my real life. And then the artwork just came back, which you will find quite inspiring, is a duck skeleton version of the Social Distortion logo, which I can't wait to have made into a pin or a patch and put on my battle vest. And the reason why that's important to you is because your show, Think Tank, is actually at a bar and restaurant that is owned by one of the members of Social Distortion.
It's true. It's at the Pike Bar on 4th Street, owned by Chris Reese from Social Distortion.
Which, by the way, was that a happy accident, or did you know, like, oh, I want to be able to start doing a show here where one of my favorite idol people are at?
Yeah, no, it was highly intentional. I live down the street. I've been going to that place forever. It's usually only live music, and I was like, I need my comedy show to be here. And so I started laying the seeds during the lockdown so I could sneak in right after.
Perfect. I love that sneakiness. I honestly, having a comedy show in your neighborhood that you can walk to is a beauty that is most people will not literally understand until you can just walk out your door, 100%. Walk to a show. Especially like if you're in New York, everything's walkable. Here in Boston, things are kind of in a neighborhoody thing. California, as far as I know, LA, everything's kind of spread out.
Oh yeah, no, you experienced the hell of it because we did a show in Atwater Village and then you came to Long Beach, and that's like your whole vacation time right there.
Yeah. Well, I was originally going to come to LA and not rent a car. I was just going to get by Ubers. And I started looking at what it costs to take, like how long it takes transit, which I'm willing to sit on, and then also how much it would cost to Uber. I'm like, and then I got a really cheap deal on a car, rental car. As the plane was landing, I just got an email from Budget, and they're like, hey, lowest cost cars, a Tesla Model 3, or, and in parentheses, or electric equivalent model. I thought I was going to get a Bird scooter. No, they gave me a Tesla Model 3. I was like, what? Yeah. Really? Not knowing how to drive. I didn't even know how to get in. All I got is a card. I got a debit card to get into the thing. I'm like, it's got to work around here somewhere. Is there somewhere to insert this thing? Which is basically all my entire life has been, is trying to figure out how to insert things into things.
I was going to say story of my title of my sex tape.
So, what was the impetus to starting your own comedy show? Because I am a firm believer that, because I love what you're doing with your show. It is an open mic. It is a show with an open mic, right? You're doing the best of two things. You're giving people opportunities, but you're also putting a good quality show. My theory when it came to shows is the people who run open mics want to be friends with comedians. People who run shows want to be friends with fans. They want to actually have a comedy career, right? So what was the impetus to creating a show like Think Tank that had the chum bucket? I love all the nautical themes to the whole thing and everything.
Thank you. So it was kind of twofold. This isn't the first show I produced, but it is the first show in a while. I actually started it on Zoom during the pandemic and then transitioned to the Pipe. I always wanted it to be a book show. I know that there's not, like, when I first started it, the neighborhood was coming, they're like, we've never seen live comedy before. So I wanted to produce, like, a really solid show. But I also want butts and seats, and comics always want stage time. So I started the Chum Bucket, where it's not like a full open mic. It's not like everybody that shows up goes up, anything like that. I position it as an audition mic so that hopefully people don't get up and shit the bed. Right?
Oh, that will not stop the crazies. Yeah, because it strikes me that you, much like me, have big theater kid energy where we've been on the behind the scenes things and know what goes into making a process or making an event.
Yeah, I actually started theater when I was 3. And did it my whole life. I have a BFA in theater. I actually spent my 20s in Chicago running a writer's theater. So that's like what I did pre-comedy. And then I realized you can't make a living doing live theater. And so I started doing stand-up and other careers to supplement.
Well, yeah, I like how it's like, oh, I couldn't make a financial living doing theater. Yeah, we also can't make a financial living in comedy either. It's like taking all these things that don't make money, add them up together, and then you have half an income, but twice the amount of work.
100%. Yeah, it's like me and my husband actually own a business together now, but I still get like comedy money and commercial money, and my accountant's like, why do I need to look at this? Like, what even is this?
Well, what led you to start over in the theater as a kid? I started in community theater because I was a middle child, and I have what Kevin Pollak calls, hey, look at me syndrome.
Yeah, I'm an only child. I was really lucky that the preschool I went to had like this thing called Munchkin Review, which was like little kid theater, but then like you could advance as you got older, and I started and never stopped.
Was that in Chicago, or because I know you're from Florida? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's the theater? What's the theater scene like in Florida? I have.
It's weird. So it's not
right. Everything's weird about Florida.
Yeah. So it's not non-existent. Like there's a lot of love for performing arts. I would say there's not a lot of love for like boundary pushing arts. Like I ended up majoring in straight theater in college because I had already played Adelaide Guys and Dolls 5 times, and I'm like, this is all there is for me. I'm done with. But
Guys and Dolls is a perfect musical for Florida.
Yeah.
Like you have very masculine guys and very flaunty women. Mm-hmm. You got gambling. Like it is a perfect play for Floridians.
But yeah, they definitely like to. It's like a turning machine for young talent. So like all of the Mickey Mouse kids, like Ryan Gosling, Britney Spears, and all of them came out of Orlando. I was on a Nickelodeon television pilot when I was a kid. I went to college in Miami, and there's like more of a legitimate theater scene there, but still a little touristy.
What was it like making a pilot for Disney Channel?
Nickelodeon, and it was a nightmare. It didn't actually make it on air. I did meet the Backstreet Boys before they got famous. So all of us were on this thing called Kids Corner Today, which was a talk show for teens by teens, but none of it was real. And they cast me to be a date rape victim.
Oh, jeez, my God.
Yeah.
Was Backstreet Boys doing the date raping?
I'm not saying anything. We were all also on that set for like 48 hours straight with no breaks because it was a non-union situation.
Oy vey.
Yeah. And my mom got real mad because like the filming for my date rape scene, the camera ladies actually did like an up and down on me. And I'm like 14. Yeah. Not surprising it didn't make it. But I was...
When was this?
94, 95.
Okay.
It was
you were how old
like
about then?
6 years before, or 6 months before Backstreet Boys like hit it.
Oh, wow. I always forget that they're a 90s boy band. I always think of them as early 2000s when I was in college.
Well, that was
they
when
were
they like jetted.
high school, yeah.
Yeah, I may or may not have kissed one of them. And then denied it all through high school because I was a punk rock kid and thought I was way too cool.
Oh, I love that vein. Like, I'm secretly in love with something popular, but I can't tell all of my friends because we all
I was not in love. I was just stuck on a set for 48 hours. And there was teenage hormones.
Oh, no, yeah, it was. Now you understand the Diary of Anne Frank.
Yes.
So you end up going to college for also performing arts.
Mm-hmm.
What was the path there? Because I was supposed to go to college for civil engineering.
Okay.
Day I went to register for college, which, by the way, got lost because I decided not to look up directions. Oh, it's like, $4.95 must be somewhere off of $6.95. Those references mean nothing unless you're from Baltimore, or DC. So I get to college. I'm literally going through the paperwork, and I see television production and radio production. I was like, well, I worked in theater. Camera's not different than a spotlight. I know audio. I want to be a recording engineer. You know what? This is for me. I changed my major that day.
Nice.
My parents were upset because they're like, what are you going to do with a degree in radio? I was like, work in radio.
Right.
Duh. Like, that's my dream. You know, like to me, growing up in the 90s, FM radio was at its height, you know, with rock music. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a comedian, and radio, and I wanted to be an actor. And radio was the cross section of all of that in my mind, you know. So it was not a hard sell to my parents because they were like, "Hey, follow your dreams, whatever." Like, okay, but you know, be wary of it, you know, because my dad, blue collar guy, but he wants, you know, support my dreams. What were your parents' thought when you're like, "Oh, I'm going to go to school for theater"?
I kind of wish that I had your parents. So I was raised by like very hippie artists. Like my dad is blue collar, but like he got kicked out of college because the only classes he was taking were yoga. Like he was a cornhusker in Nebraska, like an actual football player, and they kicked him out the team because he wouldn't do any of the academic classes. So like my parents are very supportive of the arts, and I grew up with them. Like me and my mom had a mural painting business growing up. So like I didn't know a world outside of that, or like had any of the logic of like, it's real expensive and it's only going to get worse. And we obviously didn't know about 9/11 or 2008 or any of that at the time. Like the world being presented on a platter was very different from the world that we have now. And I'd been in theater my whole life. I got a scholarship, so I'm like, this is obviously what I need to do. And even like my school was cool because there wasn't a tech theater department. We did all of it, but it was still right before everything went digital. So everything I know how to do is entirely obsolete.
You're preaching to the choir on that one. I learned literally how to edit on reel-to-reel tape and then got out and it was like, oh, here's a digital record. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll figure that out too.
Yeah, like I'm an excellent scenic designer, but I do it all by hand. And I'm like, okay, I have to go back and get like a master's in AutoCAD if I ever want any kind of job.
Well, if you were when you graduated college, what was the next path? Because, you know, we know the old cliche of, oh, you're an actor, which means what restaurant do you wait tables at?
Right. And I tried to avoid that as hard as possible. So I immediately, like, I went to actually Chicago for the first time and auditioned for grad school to become a director. And they're like, we love you, but we can't pay for you. And I'm like, I love you, but I can't pay for you either. And they're like, you should just...
You guys have so much in common.
Right? They're like, you should just move to Chicago. There's like a storefront theater every other block. You can like just start working at them and get the same experience you would with us, but you're like already in the scene. And I'd never been to Chicago before. I fell in love with the city immediately. I called the gentleman I was dating, who's now my husband, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing for the rest of your life, but I'm moving to Chicago.
Aw. You guys are high school, are you college sweethearts?
Yes. We just, on the 3rd of July, celebrated 21 years together.
Wow, congratulations. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I have, my last relationship lasted 21 days, so.
It's not nothing.
Yeah, no, that's the longest my relationships have lasted, was 21 days, so. I think actually legitimately 6 weeks, 8 weeks might be the absolute longest. I get very annoyed quickly with people. I'm like, I don't think this is going to work out anymore. Goodbye.
In fairness, Dave and I are both rarefied breeds, so I feel like if he and I had met, both of us would be single forever.
Fair enough. You guys are cohabitately single together. I like that.
Yes.
So when you were in Chicago, what did you find the theater scene to be like? Was it what you were expecting theater life to be like, or was it a whole new world?
A little bit column A, a little bit column B.
Right.
So it is what made me realize my comedic chops, because like the college I went to was very like deep South American dream theater, and I was very like in my 20s. I know everything. I'm so smart. I'm a poet. Side of me. But literally the first show I auditioned for was a cross-gendered musical version of The Bad Scene. So I was the little boy that got beat to death with tap shoes, and then I came back as Hitler in a dancing go-go. And I immediately fell in love with the theater company and ended up becoming the assistant artistic director there and the lead scenic designer. So I worked exclusively there for 5 years. Obviously, it didn't pay my rent. So I also started working for a recreational cooking school. So they had like their own Williams Sonoma store. So I would run the store and then teach the chefs how to be people because a lot of them are not at all. And then in doing that, I got to work with the lady that ran the wine program and found out that I'm actually very skilled sniffer and like good at all of the things that make a sommelier. And so I fell down that route and she got pregnant and I took over her program. And, 15 years later, I was working as a certified sommelier and beverage director.
Oh, wow. So that's one of those things where it's like your side job for what you want to do, becomes you end up an actual real career. And trust me, when it comes to wine, it is a whole tutelage unto its own in itself, which sometimes it's warranted. And then sometimes it's like, oh, you're making these things up just to be snooty and to exclude other people. But sometimes those nuances are there,
Well, and I kind of first fell in love with it because I was like, if I know all this, I can find the best, cheapest wine possible. But like my whole goal in wine education always was to make it accessible for people, not like be the Fraser of wine. But I fell in love with it. I also have always in my career stuff done other things I love. So I love performing and I like drinking. So
there you go. I mean, going to a table and telling people, oh, this is the wine that you're going to want, talking about it like that, being a waiter, a server, a bartender, a sommelier, where you have to talk to people and convince them to like a thing, that is all into itself a whole new performing art. Like I waited tables as well. I grew up with a family of restaurateurs, and you want to see somebody go to a table and sell them a whole head-on cooked fish and then explain to them how you're going to clean it in front of them and snap that head off. That is a true artistic art, right? That is not salesmanship. That is, I'm going to present a show for you. I'm going to make your mouth water with words.
Yes. And then at the 5-year mark of my theater company, my parents started getting in poor health, and I am an only child. And so I was like, I kind of need to go whole hog in the thing that's paying me money. So I took a pause on theater and became a level 3 sommelier and ran a really famous wine bar on Michigan Avenue.
Wow. Did you move back to Florida with your parents during that time?
No. I just needed it. I realized I needed to start having a savings account because I knew down the road.
You said you decided since life was getting rough on them, you had to stop leaning on them. I get it. Yes.
I didn't ever lean. I just knew the lean back was coming soon. So.
Preparing for the lean back, yes. Preparing for the preparation for taking care of them. I'm kind of at that stage right now. Like my father's gone. My mother is in Baltimore. I'm in Boston, 400 miles away. My mother sent me things the other day. It was like, oh, by the way, here's the information on my life insurance. And if anything happens, this is how you have to follow through on all of that. And I'm like, I could have put out a life insurance policy for you, Ma. Maybe.
Right. But it's nice that she did that. My parents literally have a piece of notebook paper on the fridge that just says, if we pass, Sarah gets everything.
I love it. By the way, so coming from you're a fan of the punk rock, the alternative music, just like I am. Did you find the theater scene and the DIY aesthetics of punk rock to be just the perfect lane for you? Because in theater, you literally have to make things from scratch, use every single dime, and you have to find creative ways of reusing things to make sure they work.
Yeah, no, that's same side of different side of the same coin.
Was there, when you were doing theater and you said you were the artistic director of a theater for a little while, what was your, I don't want to say janky because then that takes away all the skill that we have, but what was the production where you had to go the most hardest trying to figure out how to make something work on the smallest budget?
Oh, well, I have no clue how people trusted me. Like, thank God they did. But like the way our theater company worked is we always did 2 straight plays, a musical, 3 kid shows, and a sketch show a year. And everybody had to write, direct, or be in all of them. So my directing slot was always October. So I always did live horror shows.
Yes.
And one of them, like, I had to build a coffin that somebody was in on stage for 2 hours, and then at a certain point, like, you pull a pin and the sides fall down. And I also had to build a working guillotine. And I have no clue why people trusted me with any of this shit, because I could have been harmed or killed in so many ways. But everybody made it out alive.
I remember doing, because I did tech theater in high school in addition to acting. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's where I really found my love was the building, because, like, my father was a carpenter. I wanted to be civil engineer. I wanted to build buildings and roadways and stuff. Yeah, okay, that was ever going to happen. But I remember we were doing production of Sound of Music, and they called me, you know, I'm a teenage kid. They're like, hey, in rehearsals, the bed fell apart with when all the kids jumped on it. Can you sneak out of class, come to theater, and reinforce the bed and figure out how to make it to support 9 children and 1 adult? I was like, ask and you shall receive. Do not worry. I made that thing rock solid. Then I remember having to build a Fiddler on the Roof. We have the roof. We have all of that. And then if you look behind it, it is not safe at all. It is a hand-built ladder. It's a 2x4 with other ladder things. Not even a full ladder with 2 sides. It's one thing. And he had to climb up this janky little, just held together with nails and cut off spare 2x4 scraps to make a one-sided ladder to get up to the top to go, biddy biddy day.
Yeah, that's real.
What was the impetus for moving to LA then?
So, not my choice at all, ironically. So me and my husband were real happy in Chicago. He's a psychologist, so he did all his grad school in Chicago. And then the way they do like final internships is the most psychologically unhealthy process on the planet. But it's not like you just apply to a job and if they like you, they hire you. It's this national lottery system.
Oh, wow.
And so the first year, I'm like, you have to only apply in the Midwest because I'm not leaving Chicago. And he applied and didn't match. And so then it became very clear that, like, the more he didn't match, the more we're wasting, like, $250,000 in student loans. And so I'm like, fine, match anywhere. What's 1 year? I regret that statement my whole life. But he matched in a VA in South Texas. So we had to move from Chicago to a border town in South Texas, where I was 100% unemployable. And it was actually...
Oh, you mean the people in southern Texas, they don't want to have sophisticated red wines?
They don't.
What?
They don't.
They don't want to be rootin', tootin', and shooting on those red snootins?
No. But yeah, so that was also the year we got married. So, like, I didn't want to...
Oh, so now you had a legal document.
Well, I didn't want to spend our first year not together, but I basically just, like, lived in, like, a shitty townhouse and didn't interact with people for a year. So, during that time, somebody offered him a postdoc in Manhattan Beach, and we thought she was a trustworthy person, and I was like, all right, I can do comedy and writing in LA. Anything's fine, let's just get the fuck out of here. And so we moved to LA 10 years ago. And she turned out to be a crazy person. So the job didn't exist, and we didn't have any savings left. And so I ended up becoming a beverage director full time. And at the time, he was working 3 postdocs, driving Uber, and teaching at a college.
Oh my God! Like, you guys really are the perfect couple. Like, you're both literally trying for dreams that are almost impossible to financially verify, viable.
Yes.
Like, performing arts and school, and then also being in med school, like, that's definitely 2 sides of the same coins of a lot of poverty and having to borrow a lot of money from family to get by.
Neither one of us come from that, like, trust fund background.
No, yeah. Like, you're lucky to be where you're at on that. Oh my God. So you guys got married. Did you start doing Did you start doing comedy in Chicago?
Yeah, I started doing comedy in Chicago. and then obviously not in Texas. And then as soon as I moved to LA, the restaurant that I landed at was actually dark Sundays and Mondays. So they let me create like a speakeasy comedy show.
Ooh, nice.
So that was my first thing I did when I moved here. It was called Leaky Speak. And it was like the best way to meet people because, again, comics always want stage time.
Always.
So that ran for 2 years. And it was great. And then unfortunately that restaurant didn't make it. As you come from a family of restaurateurs, you know it's also... and so after that, I ended up becoming a beverage director for like a full restaurant group. So I had to take a pause again because I was working 80 hours a week. Fortunately, by that point, my husband was getting into like private practice and everything. And 6 years ago, he's like, I'm ready to start a group practice. And I'm like, great. I hate managing restaurants. Let's do this together. So we joined forces and opened our own group practice. And so he's the clinical director and I'm the COO. And that's my day job.
That's great that you guys finally were able to bring your lives together. Like, obviously, if you work in the theater and you have to run a theater, if you have to run a restaurant, those are organizational skills that most people do not know exist at all. Like being able to take them and then take that into the new business as the COO of, it's called Psych Lab, right?
Yep.
So why did he decide to go for a private practice and not join like another group, or like, I don't know how the medical world works.
He definitely has a punk rock soul too.
Yep.
I've
met him. He
really
definitely
working for others. And so he did a couple times, just moderate success. And then he went on his own to just do solo private practice, which he was doing, but there is like a earning limit to that. And California just keeps getting more and more expensive. So we were like, it would make more sense for us to own a bigger thing that can grow under. And also he found solo private practice very isolating because with HIPAA, you can't really like talk about your day. A lot of people, but you can if you're in a group practice with colleagues. So it's a better way to process the trauma that you're holding from other people.
So what services does your husband provide at Psych Lab?
So we have 12 therapists on staff and 2 administrators currently. We do primarily individual psychotherapy, like talk therapy. We also do psychological testing and diagnostics, and we do family and couples therapy.
Okay, so it's all outpatient therapy.
All outpatient therapy. And we're trauma informed, which means that most of our clients come to us with like dual diagnosis, like PTSD and something else. And we work with the whole thing. We're paneled with the VA and TRICARE, so we work with active military and vets and their families too. So.
Oh, awesome! See, you've heard my jokes about mental health because I did them on your show, and it's a huge thing to me. Like I've snuck a couple of my OCD jokes into my Boston Duck tours, because
sure.
I think it's important to be able to openly talk about mental health. I say it all the times in my shows when I talk. Like, I make the joke that my merch is I sell. It's not even a joke; it's reality. But I make it a joke. I make it a funny thing that my merch is a coffee cup that says, not until I've had my coffee, and coffee is scratched out and says antidepressants.
Antidepressants, yeah.
And I say, it's the best way to let your coworkers know you live with a mental illness. Like,
yeah.
I created that specifically because I wanted to be able to talk about those things. Mm-hmm. Was that something important to you, or is that more important to your husband? Not to say that it's not an important thing. Like, I'm someone who lives with it, so I want to talk about it.
So I obviously am not a therapist, but I now am in charge of hiring therapists, training therapists. I'm also our outreach director, so I hook us up with all referral bases in the community. I also come from a family of mental illness that was not treated, so I am very, very passionate about destigmatizing therapy and mental health. And I personally think everybody, regardless of their idiosyncrasy, should be in therapy because it's just a really healthy way to process a very difficult world.
So was that always your husband's, I guess with psychology, that is the focus of it?
Well, when I met him, he was a starving poet that didn't believe in college.
Like I met your husband, and he's a fun, wonderful guy. And I, see the two of yours interactions together on social media, and I'm like, oh man, this is the last person that I want. Like, he looks more suited to DMing a Dungeons and Dragons night than he is listening to me sit on a couch and tell him all my problems. But
you just need to see him with the tweed jacket on.
There it is. That's what's missing is the tweed jacket.
Yeah.
I just know the long scruffy hair where I'm like, oh, it looks like that he just came from smoking a one-hitter bong out in the back alley before coming and go, all right, guys, now it's 4:21. Let's get things started.
Right. But yeah, no, he always had a passion. Again, both of us kind of have mental health stuff in our family line, so there was a passion from an early age. He's also like probably the biggest nerd I've ever met in my life. So like when I met him in his early 20s, he had already read like every psychology book that had ever existed. Definitely he was going more down the Aldous Huxley, Timothy Leary bent at the time. But very good passion. I'm happy that we're to a point now where he is able to kind of tap into his artistic side again too. So he runs a poetry night in our neighborhood once a month and is back like writing. He's learning saxophone now. So like we're becoming our whole people again after 2 decades of just white knuckling it due to abject poverty.
Oh, you know what? That's what I want from my therapist. I want him to be also part of a ska band. Like,
yeah.
That's literally, that wasn't sarcasm. That's what I want. Can Aaron Barrett from Real Big Fish, can he please be my therapist? Like, can we get Krista Meggs from Less Than Jake to listen to my problems?
Yeah. I actually chose my therapist, like my personal therapist, because she used to be a producer in reality TV. And so I knew I didn't have to like convince this person that I wasn't crazy for being in the entertainment industry. Like they understood all of that, and we could start like from a plateau of understanding. You know,
I literally had to leave a therapist because I keep getting stuck with residents. So every June they shove me off into somebody else, and I literally left one of them because there was a 2-month, like the one guy leaves in June. I couldn't get an appointment with the new guy until August. So there's 2 months where I'm not seeing anybody right there. First off, I go see him, and he goes, oh, so your previous therapist tells me you're a comedian. Are you a fan of Bill Burr? I'm like, check, please, done. We're not having these conversations right now. We're not opening up with me listening to you talk about your favorite bits and why it's okay to say the N-word. I'm like, no, this is not what I want from my therapist.
Also, you shouldn't really know anything about your therapist if they're doing their job right.
Yeah. So now, your husband is part of he's a co-host in your podcast, right?
He is not.
Oh, it's not? I don't know who the other two people were, because one of them just looks like your husband without a beard, glasses and shaggy hair.
So my husband, kind of shorter, shaggy blonde hair, glasses, blonde beard.
Yes.
Sits in the back of the bar all the time, doesn't talk to anybody. Ryan is my gay husband, but he's my podcast co-host. There
it is. I'm pretty sure I overheard you say gay husband. That's why I got confused when you were talking.
In fairness, like unless you hear Ryan talk, he presents much more like macho, and everybody thinks he's my husband. I'm like, I might have been his beard at a high school dance, and that's about it.
Well, how long have you known him?
Ryan, I've known for 3 years now. So we met right after lockdown lifted. He was hosting a show at a really famous drag bar in Long Beach that was doing a competition. So I did the comedy competition. We became really great friends at that time. And then he kept just coming to support Think Tank and doing the Chum Bucket. And then in December of this year, he pitched me the idea for our podcast. And I'm like, I love this, but let's survive the holidays first. And then let's do a month of test runs to make sure that we can show up the same time every week, that we can like hit deadlines together, that we actually like each other this much, because we're about to go into another whole, I mean, obviously when you do something, you want it to be successful. So my goal is whole lifelong career together. So let's make sure that it matches, and it worked. And now this week we'll be recording our 24th episode. Yeah.
So the podcast's not dead yet. What exactly
is it? Not dead yet, but still killing. Yeah. It's a little similar to your premise a little bit. So it's me and Ryan always, and we bring on another comic, preferably 35 or older, and we talk about how to balance a creative life and be a functional adult and pay your bills and how there's like a million different ways to succeed in this industry and a million different tips and tricks, and how everybody's like making it is a very different benchmark. And hopefully it's hilarious and inspirational at the end of the day.
All right, so that's a good question. I'm sure everybody has to ask you as well. What is your benchmark of making it?
To be honest, if I could fire myself from the psychology practice and feel comfortable about that I have enough stability to hire somebody to replace me. And basically, I want to get famous enough that I have the freedom and finances to do whatever the fuck I want. So, like, it's not always a grind every week all of the time thing, but I could make a short film and have the funding to do that. Or I, could really pay for a great podcast studio and people to edit so it doesn't sound like we're all screaming into one microphone, which is what it is now.
Are you good at
basically making it for me is artistic freedom without living in my car?
So you feel like you're a good collaborator? You work well with other people?
I do. I will say I am a Virgo. So I often will.
I don't know if that means. I don't know what that means.
I'm about to tell you. It means that whether I like being in charge or not, I almost always will be, just because I'm very good at bringing everybody's strengths out while still keeping an eye on the bigger picture and making sure that the train's moving forward.
See, that's why I'm always interested in other people's ability to work well with others, because I like to think I work well with others, but I only work well with others if I'm in charge. Right. Like, I'm not going to say I'm not a soldier, but if there's going to be somebody over top of me calling the shots, then I'm working alone. Tell me what to do, and I'll go do it, and I'll do it. I don't need supervision. I don't need to collaborate.
Sure.
But if I'm not going to, if you're not going to tell me what to do, then I have to tell everyone what to do. Like, those are those two things. And I don't know if those are traits of being a Taurus or not. I have no idea.
Well, my husband's a Taurus, so I would say absolutely yes.
Like, I don't mind working alongside with people, like with, some of the podcasts here. Like, this is what it is. I'm so used to being a DIYer that working with other people, if I'm not calling the shots, if I'm not telling you what to do, not in a micromanaging way, if I'm not going, here, I want this done, I want this done, I want this done, and I want it done this way. If I don't have that kind of control, then I find that I'm not working well with others, unfortunately.
Like, I find one of the biggest strengths to being a good facilitator of collaboration is being able to see everybody's strengths and weaknesses and not judge them by them, but make little notes of like, okay, this person I'm going to have to remind 25 times, and I have to not allow myself to get annoyed by that. That's just the process with them. And this person is great, but they don't know technology for shit. So I'm going to have to send somebody to go help them all of the time. So it's really like a little flea circus but like the trick is to not let the anger well up in you that everybody has these faults that are different than yours. Because chances are they also have strengths that you don't have that you're utilizing, I
would hope that I would love to have one iota of that ability to be able to like, not get mad at somebody who I've told multiple times, or like, I am very patient. I am a patient person. Like, one of the restaurants I ran for my brother, I managed one of the places. I had a very old geriatric, aged lady who ran the bar during the daytime, and we had a computer system, and she is used to plunk, plunk, ka-ching, boom, boom, push it in, and she's very sweet and she tries, but she gets overwhelmed when it comes to technology things. She gets scared about, like, if she accidentally rang up 2 beers and meant to one, what I kept telling her was like, don't be afraid. You can call me and I'll answer the phone and I'll walk you through it. But I've shown you what to do, just put it on a check and I'll void it out later. It's not a thing to get upset about. And she just still gets upset. And it's like, I'm patient to working with her, but also at the same time, it's like, can we just hire somebody who knows how to work a computer, please?
Yes.
There's those frustrations.
Well, and I also, in my business, like, I'm much more forgiving in the creative world. In my business thing, because there is real life finances and real life people's mental health on the line. Like, if somebody is that you would be surprised this new generation, what they have been trained is work ethic, and it is bananas.
I feel like it's more like they've been trained on what's not a work ethic. Is more like it.
Yeah. like work ethic is bad. It's toxic.
Work ethic is toxic.
This is why I drink at the grocery store during the daytime. But I am very like calm and very clear and directive, but I definitely have like a 3 red flags and you're out policy. So like if you've been told 1 or 2 different ways, or if it's just one of those, like somebody has let this new generation think that a job is a democracy. Which it is not, especially in a capitalist system. Like when you get hired for a job, you agree to the terms of the job and you do that job. And if you don't do that, you don't have the job. And you know who owns the business. You know who you're working for. If you can't work for those people, you don't have the job. Like I literally have to now in interviews be like, are you comfortable working for a white man?
Yeah.
That's what business, and that's never going to change.
And you know what? I am literally the poster child for everything that is needing to be diversity, and I get it, and I fully support diversity, but also at the same time, we are course correcting too much in the wrong way sometimes, where it's like,
yeah, well, I mean, it's a pendulum swing, and it's the problem, and I'm sure I was similarly obnoxious to people about my political views during the Iraq War when I was in my 20s. Because you have so many great opinions and no perspective. And the perspective is something you can't teach people. Unfortunately, it comes with age, and the people coming out of school right now do not have that perspective, and they are who are available for me to hire.
Awesome. Well, have you felt comfortable being in this new role as COO? Like when you guys had that conversation with him, of your husband, deciding to start his own practice, was it, let's do this together, or, hey, I'm going to do this? Do you want to be a part of it? Do you feel there's a place for you to fit into?
It started as a very excited, let's do this together. And then as we started working together, there definitely were hiccups. Like I do not recommend family business to anybody unless you absolutely have to. However, when we pulled, the last job as a beverage director that I worked, I realized was like the highest I was going to get in the entertainment or in the hospitality industry, and it was not enough to justify what I was doing, if that makes sense. And obviously, like I have a theatrical and commercial agent. There's a chance I'll hit it big, but it's that's a huge gamble that you don't put that's like a dream basket. It's not your real eggs in a basket. And we realized that like the organizational administrative piece was the piece Dave was missing, like being able to manage and train and get all of these therapists on, like he can teach them anything nerdy, but getting them to like behave like adult human beings was not his wheelhouse. And so we agreed that our skill sets were perfect together. Once we started working, we realized how much work we had to do to set up boundaries and systems so that it did not destroy our personal life. And that took about 3 years to really iron the kinks out of.
Oh my God. Yeah, I guess there's like, it's the test of a relationship if you can work together.
Yep. Yeah, like even during the pandemic, I was freaking out because we had a 3-year lease on this office, and all of a sudden nobody was coming into the office because everything was online. And I'm like, what the fuck? But it saved our marriage because Dave would go work from the office and I would work from home. So there was like separation of church and state. We survived. Both business and marriage, but
that's great. And I love hearing that. I love that it's all working out. I'm going to be back in LA hopefully this winter when it's not tourist season in Boston. I'm going to do the, it's cold here. I'm going to do the warm thing over there on the LA side. So when I am in LA, I do want to hang out, and we will be drinking my favorite drink that's sitting right behind you on that shelf, Grand Marnier. We will do shots of GM together.
You just drink it straight?
Oh, so it's like mother's milk to me.
I mean, it's a good digestive, but usually I like, yeah.
It's strong. It's strong. It's syrupy. Yeah. I get it with somebody. Yeah, it's a lot. Here in Baltimore, literally, Baltimore sells more Grand Marnier than anywhere else in the world, right? Where I'm from.
I believe that.
Yeah, there's literally an entire Grand Marnier club bar where you buy your own bottle, and they have a whole wall of shelves of bottles that are all numbered. You have a club number.
Nice.
Yeah, so when I'm in LA this winter. Well, all right, you'll do a whiskey, I'll do a GM, and we'll be happy together, and we'll tell jokes and make everybody very laugh hysterically, and also probably kind of worried about us. So,
I mean, that's good comedy, in my opinion.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being part of the program today. Sorry about all the technical issues that are going to be edited out, and I didn't have to bring up. Now everybody knows there was technical issues, and I'm not going to cut this part out because I'm keeping it 100%. Not wrong.
Yep, 100%. Well, at least you know that we do have theater kid backgrounds. Like, just back to one and keep going and keep going.
Everyone back to your first positions. Yeah. Awesome. And where can people listen to Not Dead Yet, but Killing It?
So you can listen to Not Dead Yet on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. It's Not Dead Yet, but Still Killing. And you can follow us, Not Dead Yet, BSK on Instagram, or Think Tank Comedy for my comedy show, also on Instagram.
Awesome. Great job. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Have a good one.
Time.